Good evening and welcome to Masterworks. We got a real treat tonight. I thought since it was Animal Week and Sketch Week that we should get to some animal paintings. And this is going to bring us to our first female artist that we've featured here this December. And she's a good one. So, without further ado, let's have a look, shall we? So again, I'm going to give you just a second to just look at the piece. I always thought it was funny if somebody was giving tours of the painting or paintings, how there was never any time to just look. So Rosa Bonheur, I hate to even try to pronounce the name, a French artist, was known as an animal artist. And we're going to look at a few of her animal paintings tonight. This is probably her best well known. It's in the Met Museum in New York. And it's huge. I believe it's like 10 or 12 feet long or something like this. This is a gigantic painting. A mammoth undertaking. What do you notice about this? Oh, good, Susan. I was hoping you were here. I had you in mind when I was thinking of her tonight. But very impressive. Just huge, huge painting. All right. So, do you guys see the value shapes? Before we put it into value, can you find it while it's in corners? Where the darks are they connected? Where the lights are they connected? Where's the color at? What's the divisions of the canvas? I mean, even though this is huge, it's very well organized. Like I'm sure you guys all, the white horses, the white shirts, all running together. Even the white collars, and we got white continuing. Right, and then you got the white and shadow running all the way up. Right? Notice the ground. Right, even though it goes near to far and more to less, it's a single color that holds together. And then we have all this activity. Let's try this. There we go. All right, I'm getting better. So of course you see the white. Not even a little bit there, but look how it continues back through. And continues over through here as well. The white and shadow. Do you see how well that's organized? And again, the ground. The trees. And the sky. All right, well, let's mix this up a little bit. Is it easier for you to see the organization there? Where are almost all of the negative shapes here? It's between the horse's legs. Do you see that? And there, how it's pretty much all lined up in a certain area in space. Meaning right through here. Right? Look at all these negative shapes. In and out, 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 in and out. And then up here it's just quiet. And then our shadows start to break it up a little bit. So could you see this as a note? And then the notes build. Boom, 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 boom. And then what do we got here? Boom, 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 boom. And when we're back up here, boom, 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 boom. Do you see the changes in those notes? And then this is a relatively flat note, all of this, before we get a little bit of action in the sky. But look at the action in the sky, and how active is that compared to do you guys see those rhythms? I mean, there's a lot that makes this painting fantastic, but one of it is just the organization of the space and how she guides your eye, and right, there's no mistaking where you're supposed to go. Right? Look at that huge white shape that transcends all those objects. So let's take this in one last time before we move on to her next work. Again, I mean, to get a piece so big and it still feels so alive. And yet, in a lot of ways, it's organized very simply. See the guys in the colored shirts? Pretty much all same colored shirts. I think this is an auction, so that's probably a uniform. But again, it helps simplify. Simplify, simplify, simplify. All right, so not bad, huh? Not bad for an animal painter. Man, and here's another doozy of hers. Like always, take just a second and take it in. Right? What do you see? How do you feel? We can get to investigating in a moment, but when you first encounter a painting, just take it in. Right? There's no need to analyze what's your initial reaction, just your gut reaction. And watch how you react to certain things, and you'll really learn a lot about what your taste is. Meaning what you like and what you dislike, and that's going to help you the more refined you get in knowing your own taste in your own work. All right, well, that's good to know, Susan. Good to know. So she says these are the colors she's envisioned in a piece that she's working on right now. Well, this would be a nice reference then, maybe, wouldn't it? So, but for one thing, those colors are like that because of that, what's next to those colors, or that green, right? It may be hard for you to get those colors with just that dirt, like that's underneath them. You might be able to do it, but again, it's that green is what lets you read all of those as really warm tones. So an interesting point. Okay, should we look at the organization of this work if you haven't already seen it? So first off, why is this feels very powerful, doesn't it? I mean, not that the other one did as well, but it's almost like an explosion going from small to large, right? Just the power. Again, look how she's differentiated them, but it's basically one big light shape, right? She hasn't broken up the light shape. And then a little break in the note, and then look at these little white notes right there. A little bit different. And then we start again with a big light note that's just, I would call this more modified than changed almost, as it goes into that tan, that yellow, right? And that white. So where's that white repeated? Do you see that? Could you imagine taking that little white out of this painting? Do that in your mind. Take the white of those clouds out of this painting. And immediately it becomes very stark. Because you've introduced something and then it just disappeared. Right? Or if that happens in your life, it leaves you a little uncomfortable. A little bit uncomfortable. And then what about the pattern to begin with? So we have the untilled earth here, which introduces us basically to our green, and let's call it red or green and orange, green and red. And then we come to the tilled earth. And then, of course, we have the animals. Then behind the animals, we have the grass. But compare this green to this green. Right? It's closer here than it is to that one. Do you see that? And that helps say that this is about the same space right there. But this is way far away. Wait a minute. What? You're telling me that this on this side of the canvas and that this on this side of the canvas, that these two spots are closer together than this and this? Are you insane? Well, physically, paint spots on the canvas, these are closer. But it reads as in space, as these are on the same plane or really close to us, and that's far away. And then one of the things that gives this power is look how we have a nice, strong, kind of flat green on the upside of these guys. So obviously we're going here, but when we get here, this big flat green is also very powerful. Right? And he's using that to balance all the power. She's using that to balance all the power in these guys. I mean, if you didn't have that much power back here, you would probably never leave this part of the scene because those are so strongly drawn and painted. So we need something really strong to move us off of these guys. Move. Did you guys get that? All right, don't judge me. It's late. Don't judge me. And then we've got this warm repeated with the grass, and then, right, that yellow orange is repeated, the green. So these are on the same line. These trees are on the same line as these. Why are these so much? Why is there so much more distance, seemingly distance between these and those, right? We could get to those much quicker than we could walk back to, get back to those. Oh my gosh, that was really far back there. Right? And do you see how cleanly they're separated and differentiated? All right, we could go on and on and on. I hope you see, but this is such a joy to look at. So now let's shake this up and dive in a little deeper. Do you see anything else that might help that back shape? This next to this really isn't that strong. But look at that next to that, and then our green, and look at that strong, almost straight line back there. That carries a lot of weight. And in most paintings, that's going to be way too strong. I mean, way too strong. But because of all of this activity right here, right? Do you see how active, again, those spots are? Look at those negative shapes. Bang. Right? Those notes were relative, just da 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 da, ba da ba da ba da ba 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 ba. Ding 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 boom 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 ding boom 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 bing 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 boom 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 bing 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 boom 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 ding ding bing 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 boom. Can you guys see those sounds? And because there's such a concert going on right here, then this almost straight dark line, I'll be honest with you, until I flipped it upside down and turned it black and white, I didn't even notice it. Right? You go back there, and now that we go back, it seems clean as day. But I mean, these look at that. I mean, we're busy. They're frothing at the mouth. My God. Whoops. Where else is there action? How much action's in the sky? Not much. Because there's so much action and it's so strong right here, that means we're going to need big places to rest. And that's why there's really not a lot of activity in the rest of the painting. All right, just one last look at that. I want to give you a minute to take it in. And there's just so many beautiful things to notice. What about that grass right up front on the bottom? Darker, richer. Right? So look at that, and then back to those very distant mountains in the background. And then how do we transition into the sky at the horizon? How's the sky at the horizon different than the sky at the top of the canvas? See, when we're looking at this, it just feels so right. We say, well, of course. Of course. But when we have a paintbrush in our hand and a canvas in front of us, we're like, what? How did they do that? Kind of tricky. Kind of tricky. All right, let's move on, as Tom says. Let's just move right along. So we're in tonight, and I wanted to end starting with the black and white of this one, just to change it up a little bit. And even though this is much, quote unquote, in one sense simpler than the other ones, in the senses that we don't have 37 quadrupeds, right? Either working or dancing around. But there's just a single animal. But can you still see a very strong pattern here? The dark nose, and there happens to be a really bright highlight. And then we go to some our lightest light in here really, which is then by gray, which is surrounded by the dark. If we're talking on the head, and then we hit a little lighter. Do you guys see that pattern? Boom, boom, boom. It's kind of a dance. That's painting. That dark light pattern, setting those patterns, those edges, those shapes. That is painting. And this is a good example of painting fur, painting hair, Susan. Very good example. All right, so our dark nose with a light highlight, and then we come into this, And by the way, there's another little dark note right there. Not a lot, just a little. And then we've got the gray here and the gray here. And the dark and the dark. And then this is in between our dark and our light. Okay, and then what really says the nature of it are the edges. Right, if you look at the edge of these shapes, you see it's not a solid stroke all the way through, but it almost kind of dries out and skips at the end. And also, I mean, this is the brilliance of this too, right? Because we all know what fence builders we are, is look how different all of this is. I mean, that's gorgeous. That nice variety in the build, and then the same feel, but different. Different shapes, different rhythms on each side. Look, wait, is everybody, you guys watching? Okay. Yeah. Tell me this isn't fun. Whoa! I mean, come on. Let's do that again. Whoa! That's a blast. Who doesn't want to paint that? Come on. Come on. All right, so we're going flat here, and then what happens? We're turning up. We're changing planes. So we're going back, and now we got to go up. And then we go back to that color, and that says, oh, okay, now we're going back again. All right, am I going on too much? Am I going on too much? Sorry, guys. I'm kind of into this. And then there's, wow, did you see that coming? Did you see that coming? But Jason, you said don't ever put a yellow background. Well, no, not if your name's not Rosa. Don't do it. But why can she do that? Why is she able to get away with that background so quote-unquote yellow, so colorful? Well, remember what's our most powerful weapon? Right? Our nuclear weapon is our white. It's so strong that it's easily going to overcome a background with that much color. By the way, if you look closely, that's not like a cad yellow or anything. It's a really grayed off yellow. Grayed warm, grayed green, definitely this and that, but grayed. Then we've got the black, the dark of the shadow, right? So all of this easily overcomes the background. This boom's going to overcome it. And then what else do we see? What else do we see? Let me get to the right place. Now, I don't know if she had cadmium red or what color she used, but let's call it cadmium or really bright red. Bang. Right there. Just a touch of it. Just a touch. All right, guys. Again, this was Rosa, and I hesitate to say her last name. Let's see. We'll just put her back up on the screen. You can say the name for yourself. She was a French artist, and this was a little sketch. We looked at plowing the fields, and the horse auction. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the show. As always, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. You can like and subscribe by hitting the little red button. All of December, we're going live 5 times a week, 3 times a day, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 in the afternoon Pacific Standard Time, and 8 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time. Student feedback in the morning, studio time in the afternoon, and some masterworks in the evening. So I hope you have the occasion to come back for the rest of the month, and let's look at some beautiful art. Yeah, that's all I got. It was a good day. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.